There are now somehow 6 movies in Sony's Spider-Man universe, and since this cinematic universe has officially been canned and is no more, I'm gonna rank all 6 of these films.
Godspeed, Spider-Man.
What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So with the release of Kraven the Hunter, we now have the final film in Sony's Spider-Man universe, or as I just call it, the Sony Spider-Man villain spin-off universe. It's a disaster, frankly. And I don't know how we got 6 films. 3 of those are Venom trilogy, and then there's 3 failed attempts at origin stories, but we made it from 2018 to 2024 somehow. Before I give you my list, though, hit that like button, subscribe to that notification bell, and if you want extra content, you can find that over on my Patreon. But without further ado, I say we just dive into this mess. And dead last for me comfortably is going to be Madam Web. This movie is unwatchably bad, and it's so horribly put together that it's actually disorienting when you watch through the film. From a technical level, the editing is jarring and really doesn't respect the space of any scene, so you can't really tell what's going on. The dialogue is all over the place, and the main villain, I don't think, delivered a single line on set. Every single thing he said was done in ADR, and I don't think once during the entire movie that his mouth lined up with what we were hearing come out of those theater speakers. This movie is a mess. It also somehow tries to set up Spider-Man in a weird way, and I don't think anyone wanted to be on set. But this movie made no sense to be made. It made no sense in and of itself as an actual film. It is a disaster, and maybe the crowning achievement of this entire universe because of how awful it truly is. But coming in at number 5, not much higher, I think I gotta go with Kraven the Hunter. This is the newly released film that just hit theaters, and I just got done filming my review, and I can confidently say this is a certified stinker. Kraven is flawed just like every other one of these films, but perhaps the most embarrassing element of Kraven is that it really just said, hey, let's try and make an R-rated movie here and use that as the selling point because we're done, we're cooked. They use that R rating in marketing just to try and get butts in seats because it doesn't really even deserve the R rating. It's pretty tame in terms of the violence. It'll like show a little more blood than normal, and there's the occasional F-bomb sprinkled throughout, but really and truly they use that R rating as a selling point, and it missed the mark entirely for me. Again, it's a common occurrence here, but no one really wanted to be in this movie. You can tell the dialogue is so awkward and stiffly delivered. The technical aspects of this film missed the mark again with choppy editing. The ADR issues are present here again, and the movie itself just feels so unnecessary. I don't know why they went the route of trying to make Kraven, of all Spider-Man villains, into a hero in this film. It's a bit strange, and there are like 3 villains by the time the credits roll, all of them one note as hell. Kraven is really bad. You can laugh at how bad it is at times, but even then, I don't think you should have to endure this movie ever. At number 4 on my list is Morbius. Morbius is somehow 4 on this list. I don't get it. It's Morbin time, and the memes that kind of came from this film might be what has it a little higher for me. We also got that one dance scene of Matt Smith's character with a fairly catchy song. That was a meme. It's kind of like the Spider-Man 3 effect where the memes make the movie a little better. I've seen it once in theaters. I will never watch it again. But the memes and sort of the ongoing bit of just talking about Morbius on social media makes it a little more charming to me. I don't think Jared Leto is great here. This movie is plagued by all the issues the other films in this entire universe are, where you've got a horribly written villain, technical issues galore, and just really, I question the decision-making here. Like, why is Morbius, of all Spider-Man villains, being made into a hero? I don't know. It's also worth noting that this has maybe the worst post-credit scene in superhero movie history. It doesn't make any sense. It defies logic and completely contradicts the end of Spider-Man No Way Home. It genuinely doesn't make sense. If you think you understand it, please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm still baffled by that creative choice. Really just jars me to my core. But Morbius is a little more watchable than Kraven and Madam Web, I guess, but they're all just so abysmal that ranking them is kind of irrelevant. Just don't watch any of them ever, please. Getting into my top 3, at number 3 is going to be Venom: The Last Dance, aka Venom 3, another movie that came out this year. I was falling asleep in the theater watching this one. This ends the Venom trilogy with a whimper. There's like portions of this film where Eddie Brock is just on a road trip with a hippie family, the leader being played by Rhys Ifans, who also plays the Lizard in the Sony Spider-Man film, so that's strange in and of itself. But I was really irritated watching this film because of how stupid characters were over being like, there's a moment in this movie where Eddie turns into Venom and knows that if that happens, they'll be discovered by the villain of the film. Really stupid decisions are made in this film. And if you look at it at the big picture, it's sad because it tried to set up Noel as like this Thanos-esque figure for this cinematic universe, and that's just never gonna go anywhere. The beginning of this movie opens with like a deep, ominous voiceover, and it reminded me a lot of Transformers Rise of the Beasts or any other movie, like even borderline The Rise of Skywalker, where some villain lays out their plan early on and then they're kind of just working behind the scenes. We never really see them in action the whole film. That was the case with this movie. And by the third movie in this series, I'm done with the Venom shtick. The Venom voice doesn't even hit the same, and I found the comedy to miss the mark. So this one was really kind of painful to sit through. At least Tom Hardy's giving it his all here, I'd like to think, and there are a few moments where I'm kind of entertained, but even then, this is still a really poorly done movie. My runner-up in this universe is Venom Let There Be Carnage, the second Venom film. Woody Harrelson committed to the part, I'll give him that. He's full-on insane in this film as Carnage, and there's a pretty decent fight scene between Venom and Carnage in the third act of this film. It's only like an hour and a half. In fact, all the Venom films are, so this one flies by for the most part, but it's still really messy and just feels jumbled together. I would say it has that standout fight scene at the end, though, where the visuals kind of pop, and the Carnage design was cool enough, so I'll give it the edge over some of the other films. It's still a very meh movie overall to me, but I do respect it over the other ones because it's not as disastrous. There's an attempt to tell a story here, you know, the basics of filmmaking, and so I give it that, but it's still really poorly done and a inferior sequel to the original film. In fact, the top dog of this universe is going to be Venom, the first film. This is a fine enough movie. I think it's overhyped by a lot of people. You know, this is like a 2.5 out of 5 for me, so it's a meh to middle of the road comic book film. It feels like something that was pulled from like the early 2000s that somehow got like lost, and this is a lost file that they found and then released it in 2018, and it made a lot of money, so it kind of is responsible for launching the rest of this universe. But I remember the Venom trailer selling me, and then you've got the actual origin of Eddie Brock, and you get to understand this guy as a human. Eddie, played by Tom Hardy before he goes full on Venom. And that's what I liked the most, is this movie takes its time with him as a person. You get to see his career side of things as this journalist. You get to see him have this relationship. We get to know Eddie Brock for a good chunk of this film before he gets the symbiote and turns into Venom. Then we see Venom and Eddie's relationship develop, and I was kind of on board with that. There's some humor here that works for me. It's a bit of a conventional comic book movie plot there. You kind of know where you're headed. So it is generic in that sense, but when compared to the rest of these movies, Venom looks like a masterpiece almost, and I don't even really like Venom. So that says a lot about the quality of this cinematic universe. But that first Venom movie, again, I find it to be overhyped. I know a lot of people are real big fans of it. It's like a guilty pleasure for some. For me, it's a movie I'll probably never watch again, but it is the standout of that trilogy, and I can respect it because we do get to know Eddie Brock as a character up front, and I think it's Tom Hardy's best performance out of the 3 films. The Venom voice is a bit more menacing. I like his character design, and there's that one scene with the motorcycle that I thought was really well done and might be the standout scene. Even the scene where Eddie first transforms into Venom is a cool scene, and there are like some horror elements that work for me here too. So this movie's not awful. It's just fine at best. And if that's the top dog of your cinematic universe, that's how you know you're probably doomed from the start. So that's my ranking of Sony's Spider-Man Universe, the spin-off films with, you know, Spider-Man villains as the leads for some reason. It ultimately led to nothing. We never got to see a team up or like a Sinister Six movie that they were trying to do, but it's gone. Kraven the Hunter was the final nail in the coffin, and like I've said in a couple of my reviews, good riddance. I'm done with this. I wipe my hands of this madness, and we're moving on in life to bigger and better things. You know, let's get Spider-Man 4 rolling. Let's get Beyond the Spider-Verse out here. There's a lot to be hopeful for, but at the same time, I don't know why we wasted 6 to 8 years of our lives on this cinematic universe. Let me know your ranking of these movies down below, though, and hit that like button, subscribe to that notification bell, and stay tuned for more content coming very soon. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.